How did you determine the title of your exhibition, Backwards and Forwards, Reflections in Porcupine Quills?
So I worked with Aram Han Sifuentes as a curator for this exhibition. I knew Aram from from living in Chicago. When I was doing my MFA, she was working in the fibers department at SAIC. And yeah, we'd kept in touch. So I was thinking about like who would be a good person to work with for this exhibition, and to help me kind of take all this work that I was doing and bring their own perspective. Conceptually, I think that can be really helpful when you're is for me when I'm making something. I have my own perspective and my own motivations, and I see it from the perspective of the person making the work, and bringing in somebody else really I find it useful because they can help you make connections to other maybe like discourses in the art world, or just help see your work in a new way. So we had a few studio visits where I was able to show the work, talk about the things I was making, talk about my process, and so kind of through brainstorming together.
In your exhibition statement, you describe slowness as a political statement. What does slowness you describe in your art form mean to you?
So I've often made making artwork is one way that for a lot of people, like, you express yourself, and I've always found it my most effective way of expressing myself and communicating, and really in contrast to writing or speaking. And I was and continue to be really aware that I can only speak English, and that my access to my Indigenous languages is quite limited. That has increased a lot in the past couple of years. I've been able to get connected to language classes and people speaking Lenape. The other important aspect is having a learning disability. I was and continue to encounter narratives of like proficiency and how quickly one can do something. So how quickly you can read a book, or you are like as a child you're always being measured for your reading level, and really celebrated for how much somebody can read, or how quickly, or how quickly someone can do a math problem, or how quickly you can run a race, or there's lots of comparisons, and I think sometimes they're meant to like encourage and celebrate children and our learning. I think as we become adults, it becomes more fit into like capitalism and how much we can produce. And I often was labeled or like part of a lot of discussions about how slowly I was progressing or producing, or how long certain tasks would take me. And when I started making quill work, people often brought up how slow the process is. So that just reminded me of being a child and being also part of those conversations of slowness. And yeah, in that I also started to think about what are slow activities that we really enjoy, that we really like want to take our time with. Maybe eating a particular food, or hugging or embracing loved ones, right, is another, that this medium and process that I've chosen does take a long time. It is a slow process, but that it's also really enjoyable for me. And that I think lots of things in life take a long time too. So it's also something for everybody, and it's also something I'm used to. I'm used to um, uh, processes and making, unraveling at the pace in which works for myself, and that doesn't always fit with expectations from teachers or bosses or society.
What knowledge can we find in our artistic materials?
Yeah, I think like the exhibition, like the work in this exhibition, and our statements and Aram's essay really point to the process and knowledges that I'm finding in my materials. So yeah, I think for individuals that there's a lot to be found for everybody on their own journeys.